Oh, guys, couple of random thoughts, by the way. Couple of random thoughts that have come over the week. Tyson Fury and Jeremy Stephens. Now, what do these guys have to do with each other? Well, probably nothing, but they both did things this week that I thought was interesting. Tyson Fury came out. Now, Tyson Fury is a guy who doesn't lie to you, the audience. This is a true competitor. I really respect Tyson Fury, but I also appreciate him. I do. He's not like most guys. He was not about the big fight and all the money and give me this and look at me watches and all of it. It's not who he was. Tyson Fury, you want to talk about a competitor? I mean, just go back and see what he did in the amateurs. World and Golden Glove, national, Olympic competitions. He's getting nothing for that. He was good enough then to be fighting and making good money. But he had a goal. And he had a commitment that he'd made. Not only to his team, but to his country. And he wanted to see that through. I really appreciate guys like that. I think those guys are special. And I think they deserve a level of credit. So when they start getting into the big time and they start making the big money, but they never chased the money. They chased the dream and the money came along. I like that. Me, personally, I like that. So, but Fury's always been honest. He really has. He's been a very straight guy. Here's what I'm going to try to do. And he's done a little bit of maneuvering, but who won it? For the most part, when he told you, I don't want to fight Anthony Joshua, I'm not interested in Anthony Joshua, I'm moving on from Anthony Joshua, he was telling you the truth. And sure, there was a piece of him that thought maybe he was trying a little bit more interest towards that fight, but when the phone rang and it was time to do something else, he did exactly what he told you guys he was going to do. He wouldn't fight somebody else. I have to bring that in. I have to bring up his credibility and his honor. I have to the claim that he just made. He said, I'm retired. I'm happy with retirement. I am not coming back. But if I do, if you're going to call me, if you're going to be the one to get past my inner circle, get me on the phone and make me an offer, it needs to be for $500 million. 500 million. He said both. He called it $500 million. And then there was a part of him that wasn't sure we would know what $500 million was. So he said $500 million, $500 million, right? He said them both ways. But what do you make of that? I mean, if a guy is willing to fight, then the guy's not retired. If the guy wants to fight, he's not retired. If he's accepting offers or he's publicly telling you what the negotiation is going to look like for an offer, he's not retired. So what do you make of that? It's extremely relevant that we know. What if he was sincere? Like everything else he's ever told. This has been a very honest guy with you, the audience. He respects you, the audience. He really does. That's what the singing was all about. That's what the entertainment was all about. That's what the wild outfits were all about. He was trying to entertain you. He knew that you paid your money. He knew that you came to the table. He wanted to give you more. So he respects you, but he's coming to you and he's telling you it's going to be for $500 million. Now, of course, 500 million doesn't mean 500 million. 350, that's pretty close. 400, 425, 525. Like, these are all the same thing. We get that we're not pinning him down on this. But he has come to you, the audience, and he said the only way that he's going to fight again. So is he just working? Is he just hustling? Maybe. Maybe, sure. But it'd be unlikely. It'd be out of character. And it'd be the one thing that he's not, which is a guy that's about the money. That's not who he is. He's the opposite guy. He's the gypsy king, right? He's not about those things. He's about using that money to help other people. He's not living the big fancy life. He's in the dirty, rundown gym. Not in a penthouse that he converted to a training facility. I mean, this is who he is. So when he comes out and tells you that, I think that there was more truth to it than if anybody else had ever done it. And it's greatly relevant that we do identify what is that about. Does that include the sport that you're in the process of making up the rules to for the whatever it's going to be, exhibition, content, whatever you want to, against Francis? That's why I bring this to you. Does that also carry to Francis? Because he made some kind of a deal with Francis. They've met each other. They did a face-off. They've shaken hands at some point on something. Tyson's well aware of what Francis is having to do to move heaven and earth to make this opportunity there. So Tyson's not going to pull the rug out on Francis. They have some kind of an agreement that I fully expect that Tyson would honor, especially after everything Francis is doing. And he knows what Francis is doing. Francis flew out, did a face-off, did the thing with him on home soil. It's a very public dispute. I mean, Tyson just doesn't seem like the kind of guy that would then turn his back on whatever that arrangement was, of which was anything but done, was anything but having a promoter and having guarantees and having a contract. So essentially, if you get to that point, you're just going to have to live with what you can live with. Every promoter in the world is going to make you come in on the participation. They're not going to make a guarantee. How could you make a guarantee? Guarantee two guys that shouldn't even be doing this are going to do a sport that we're making up the name and the rules and the time frame for, and by the way, is for nothing, goes on neither of your records, and there's no belt, there's no title, there's no unification. Yeah, you're going to get somebody to do it for sure, but it's going to be strong on the back end. Are you guys sure the audience wants to see it? Great, let's all come along together. I'll put up the 25 mil, I'll bring the cameras and lights, but I'm not putting up the guarantee. And those guys would agree to that, but I'm only sharing with you what does that mean as it pertains to Francis. There's no $500 million there. So what is it? What does it mean? I'm just asking the question. I'm just making sure that you guys caught that. I think a lot of you caught it and you just blew it off to, well, this is what boxers do. The fame is a drug. He starved for the fame because he just took his own damn spotlight off himself. So I might as well just go to Twitter and see if somebody will respond so that I don't go jump off the bridge, right? I mean, that's what athletes do. They have nothing to look forward to in their post-career except drug abuse and alcoholism. That's it. Very common, very tough. So was Tyson just so hungry for some level of attention that he came up with some line and put it out on Twitter? That actually needs to be considered. Yes. Yes. Part of it. But now it is said. Now it is hard to walk away from. And if you walk away from it once, you're never getting it a second time, right? Soon as you accept anything less than $500 million, you're never getting $500 million. Not that that was on the table in the first place. I'm just sharing with you. Then you've got Jeremy Stephens. Jeremy Stephens went to a PFL. He shaved his head. He got on the scale with one leg, and he made weight. And I had people ask me, why would he do one leg? Could that affect the scale? Yes, it could. Absolutely. Not all scales, but you could go test this yourself. You have access to a scale, whether it's in your bathroom or it's at your gym. Next time you get on it, stand on it in 2 feet. Then stand in the upper right-hand corner. Then stand on the lower left-hand corner. Then stand right in the middle on 1 foot. You are likely to get a different answer every single time. Very, very likely to get a different answer. I cannot guarantee you that Jeremy Stephens did. I didn't have access to that scale. But yes, these weird things work. Here's one. Here's one that nobody wants to accept, including myself. I hate that this works. I hate it. I despise it. But guys will go stand on their head. The very famous story happened with Kenny Monday. Kenny was in a tournament. It was like the Nationals. It was the state tournament. He had 2 minutes to make weight. He was half a pound over. That is not possible to lose. There's nothing you could, he couldn't cut an artery and drip out enough blood to make weight. It's not going to happen. So, and his coach doesn't know what to do. All coaches know to do is you get in a sauna, you spit something, you run, you work out. He doesn't even have time to put his clothes on, let alone to do any of this. He has 2 minutes and half a pound. It's over. He looks over. Kenny Monday's in his birthday suit, and he's standing on his head. He's on his head. His own nuts are hanging in his face. This is a true story. People saw him. Coach said, what in the hell is this guy doing? Somebody on the scale yells, Kenny, you got 10 seconds. Kenny pops up, gets on the scale, makes weight. How did that work? It's the same thing. And people will tell you what it has to do with the blood rushing. They're right on that, but they don't go a little bit further. Now, for that to work, and that does work, by the way, I'm as irritated about that as you are. Before you tell me that is logically as well as scientifically impossible, that you weigh the exact same, and it doesn't matter if your blood is here, or down at your toes. I agree. It works. I've seen it work a number of times with similar stories like the one that Kenny Monday did, where some guy goes in the corner, he flips upside down. You got to stay there for X amount of time. I think you got to stay there for 60 seconds or something along these lines. That does work. It only works on what's called a doctor scale or a meat scale, a scale like the UFC would use. If you have a digital scale, it won't work. But what happens is the blood rushes to your head, you pop down, you get on it. Now the blood is rushing through your body. That movement flusters the scale and makes it break. So yes, that does absolutely work. Did Jeremy Stephens and 1 foot have anything to do with it? I don't know. Maybe that's his new lucky stance. I don't know why he was on 1 foot. I can just tell you, had a hard time making weight to the point that he shaved his head. He stood on 1 foot and he ended up making the weight. There are most definitely ways to trick a scale. And don't think that you need to be the logical doctor in the room that comes in and tells me that you weigh the same, that a pound of cotton and a pound of nails are still a pound. Like, I get all of those things. Go get a meat scale, get on it, flip up on your head for 60 seconds, get down, get on there. You're going to weigh something else. I'm only bringing that to you to clear this up. Yes, there is many ways to mess with a scale. Where you stand on the scale is extremely important. And this shouldn't be something that we're having a big debate for. Go get a scale and just go do it. You'll see it. Scales are made by man. Okay, these aren't God-made. They're not perfect. Yes, there's ways to beat a scale.